This is a Dirt Road Roundtable Drive into a Bigfoot sighting hotspot with our guest, Duke, from World Bigfoot TV. We discuss Virginia Sasquatch evidence near Lick Fork Hollow, along with our Montana Bigfoot expedition and more. Sit back and watch for this elusive forest dweller while we show some of the highlights discussed.
Rescued by Kelly Shaw, thank you.
How's it going?
Unfortunately watching Midwest Night Watches, which has Cindy Goodbreak on there right now, so thanks for rescuing me.
I just wanted to call and talk about the last sighting report video that I made with you and then see what's going on with you too. The video that I put out today talked back and forth with the guy. He emailed me a lot of the stuff that happened to him that he talked about, and then I spent the entire day yesterday putting it together and threw it out. But it's just, there's stuff in there that I talked to him about that I just glassed over and didn't, really go in depth in the deal. It turned out, to be like almost a 16-minute video.
Good Lord, that's long for you.
Nearly 5 minutes of it was vocalizations. Just wow, an amazing deal. What goes on in the video and stuff isn't some of the high strangeness stuff that happened to him. Like I just glassed over like his phone having problems after he took pictures of it.
Yeah, we talk. I hear this over and over and over and over. Hey, where'd those pictures go? They're just erased. Somebody got video of them. They drove back to the campsite. They're like, we just saw Bigfoot. We got video.
Yeah.
They're showing the video to the people at the campsite. As they're showing it to them, it erases. Literally saw part of the video and then it's gone.
Well, he zoomed in and got a great photo of it. And after that, his phone wigged out. It died. He had problems getting it going. He got it going later on that day. Crazy stuff happened all in one day. The dude, part of an auction at a remote sawmill near the Kentucky border in Virginia. I mean, even though this happened in Virginia, the southwest part of Virginia it happened in is further west than West Virginia. You know what I mean? Down there.
Yeah.
He sent me GPS coordinates, and he sent me his own maps of where it happened, and it's in a remote hauler, and it's been abandoned for a while, and it sounds to me like what they did, they auctioned up the rest of the lumber in and outside of it, and then they auctioned off any parts anybody wanted to buy inside that sawmill and stuff. And this guy, after the auction days and stuff, he would load customer stuff up onto trailers just left there and then log their stuff and all that. But his job for 2 weeks, he's from Tennessee, he was just up there for 2 weeks to do this auction, and it happened the last week. Out behind is just thick, lush forest and some cliffs. He was taking a break. He was the only one at the sawmill at the time. Went out to his service truck to get a Coke, and he heard some growling in the forest. He finally spotted what was growling at him, and it was up on the cliffs a little over 100 yards away. I mean, when I zoomed down in, I'm like, it was pretty damn close. He saw it, and every time he would look at it, it would hide in cover, and then when he would pretend, turn his head a different direction, pretend like he wasn't looking at it,
peek back out.
Peek out at him. This dude is tall as hell. He's 6'6", and then he's a pretty thin guy, which even makes him look taller. He said that Bigfoot was much taller than him. He's like, it could easily broke me like a twig. The growling's what got his attention. He goes, I never saw it if it was growling. 2 days before that, he was just kind of hiking around the forest, around the mill, found a bunch of Bigfoot tracks. He did like a 36-second video of the tracks he found, and he's a giant guy, so he's got a giant foot, especially in his giant boot, and they dwarfed his foot. He filmed them, took pictures and stuff.
6'6", he's probably got like 15-inch foot himself.
Yes, he did a good job filming them and taking pictures of them and stuff, and he says he really didn't kind of believe in Bigfoot.
No, he does.
But he couldn't explain it. Well, this happened on a Monday, then 2 days later on a Wednesday, during the daytime, that Bigfoot growls up on the cliffs, he spots it and stuff, and then when he zoomed in with his phone, and he got a really good picture for his phone, in my opinion, and zooming in that far, his phone wigs out. And of course he's wanting to get more pictures and wanting to film it, and his phone wigs out, and now the creature knows he's directing attention on it, so it works its way up into the forest and he watches it go up over the ridge, doesn't see it again. Well, that night after dark, he's getting ready to button up the place. It was his job during that 2 weeks to lock the only gate that people could get back into this holler and the area he was in, the old sawmill. So at night when he was done, he would lock up the gate, and then he was supposed to be there in the morning before anyone and unlock it. Then that night, as he's getting ready to leave, he's out of his service truck. It starts frickin' vocalizing.
Oh, shit.
His phone's wigged out, and the only thing that he can get going is audio recorder on it. So he gets the audio recorder on his phone and sets it on the compressor of his truck and sits and records like 5 minutes of these vocalizations before they leave. Well, the vocalizations are just nuts. You're going to have to listen to them. I think there's 2 of them in there, and I think one of the 2 is really sad. It sounds sad, and I get this sad feeling from it. I can't match up in my mind anything that they match up with hardly at all, except for certain parts sound like a damn whale, you know? Like the humpbacks sing in the ocean. Not all of them, but just a couple of them sound like that. I think there's 2. And he said after they were done vocalizing and he turned off his audio recorder, several seconds after that, there's a knockdown in the holler. Like, there's another one responded to the one vocalizing, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, no, I think there's 2 at least. I know that because it sounds like vocalizations. One's further, one's closer, and so I'm not there, so I don't know the direction everything's coming. There was a knock response to the vocalizations down in the holler, and I named it Lick Fork Bigfoot because this holler is called Lick Fork. Scanned it with Google Maps, and nice and remote and everything. It's just an amazing set of circumstances. Footprints 2 days later, the photo, the growling, and then that night, the string of vocalizations.
It all makes sense because he's being intrusive in an area that they're used to being in, not having to sleep in whack.
This auction was putting him up in a hotel, so he would leave and go to a hotel for the night, hanging out at the restaurant and whatever near the hotel he's staying at. He brought up to some old timers what was going on, and just back up for a second, the owner of this sawmill that he was auctioning all the guts out of, he told him before he even started working there for the 2 weeks, he goes, we got coyotes, bears, snakes, and he named off like the copperhead and the water moccasin or whatever, the 2 venomous ones. We got some other stuff that you just don't ever want to run into.
Boogers.
And he left it at that. Well, after all that happened, the vocalizations he recorded, he brought it up with some old timers, stayed quiet for a second, and then they finally spoke up, and they're like, we call those devil monkeys. He told me that, and I'm like, well, that sounds kind of sinister, devil monkeys. He ended up having to get a new phone. His phone was never the same after he got that photograph.
I've heard that before,
of
too.
The creature.
They're probably trying to delete everything off of it, and they didn't phone up enough.
Yep, that's why I called you, is because you've heard of it.
I know people it's happened to, man. People that were with me that it's happened to while they were with me. Yeah, it happens.
I've had battery die and everything. You know, maybe I didn't charge it up like I was supposed to.
Guess yourself.
Out of anyone I know, I'm the best at night after a hike, or in the morning after a hike, or right when we get back from an expedition. The first thing I do is charge my battery, upload my SD cards, because all that footage is important to me, and the batteries always get attended to. So when I have a dead battery, it's not because of a forgetful mind usual, but I want to blame it on that. I want to blame it on something I know. I don't want to, Bigfoot zapped my camera. Sounds like it happens.
Examples of what's happened to me. I had one area I walked into, and I thought my buddy was with me until I got a ways in there and turned around. He wasn't with me. Well, it turned out that he had to take a dump, so he just did that while I was wandering off into danger by myself. So I walked way up this trail that they had blockades across about every 40 feet. Stay the hell out, stupid humans. No, I kept going anyway. And I filmed 3 film clips. There was an old abandoned cabin up there, and I went up above it, and there was another trail that split off and went down to where the creek was. Filmed that, and then I filmed coming back down again. When I got back down again, all 3 files were gone. And I mean, it literally jumped from like number 44 to, number 48. The numbers weren't even there. Just gone. And I had another time that I was walking around, and I had a couple of people with me. They weren't right next to me, they were nearby. And I just had that feeling, you know, like the hair standing up on my arms and shit. They're around here. I'm going to turn the camera on, just do a slow pan, see how many of them I can catch by accident. They don't see anything. But that doesn't mean they're not there. And then you look at the video afterwards and go, shit, there's one right there. Like, yeah, I didn't see it while I was there. So I figured it'd be one of those cases. Turn the camera on, blink, 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 low battery. That's impossible. I haven't even used the damn thing, and I charge both batteries for it. So I pull the battery out, I put the other battery pack in, and it goes blink, 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 low battery. At which point I say loudly, quit screwing around with my camera, you guys, it isn't funny. I pull the battery out, and I put in the one that I just had that said blink, blink, low charge, and it's all fine. And then I can film. So what are the odds of that happening just accidentally? Blades had it happen to him too. He was in this really cold area in the middle of winter, and he had some snow tracks and he wanted to just film himself narrating. So he set the camera up on a tripod, he got in front of it at the right distance, and he turned it on, walked back out in front of it again, started narrating, the camera turned itself off. So, okay, maybe the battery's low, so he goes over and he checks it. No, it's got a new battery in it, tries it again, same thing. So the third time he goes over, changes out the battery with a fresh battery in his pocket, and the same thing happens again. And he did exactly what I did. He went, you guys quit screwing around with my camera, I'm freezing. And tried it again, then it worked.
Our drone pilot, he has been cursed with the dead battery thing. And I don't know if it's because of elevation change, temperature change, it being in a Bigfoot area, what's causing it. Gosh, I can't believe how often we get ready to launch a drone and it's blinking, that the battery's almost dead, and having to go through and grab a new battery. So,
and you're like, well, I knew this battery was fresh, I just filled it, grab another battery. Same thing, blink, blink, blink. Ah!
Well, a lot of these high elevations that we film at, full of minerals and quartz. I know a lot of areas in the Uenas we go to, there's white quartz, chocolate quartz, everywhere. In some of the caves, there's fully terminated quartz crystals. I mean, Mike and Brody, they like collecting that stuff, so they'll bust some of that out of those caves.
Yeah, all those areas that I go that are hotspots up here, they've all got quartz. Remember where we were at? There's quartz all over the place up there. Did you notice?
I saw a lot of white quartz up there.
Yep. And the other one, the main research area that I've been able to bring into, we'll get up there someday, where we got the one making the wood knock and then looking to make sure that we saw that he made a wood knock. We found that place because we were driving up the pass and there was a gigantic X structure on the other side of the river. And we went, that can't be a real X structure. Okay, wait, stop. I'll wade across the freezing cold river and go check. Yeah, both of those trees had been moved into place. That was a real X structure. And the cool thing was the second time we went there, about 3 years later, to take a look at it, we surveyed the area. Right behind it, there's this gigantic wall of broken granite. It goes up to the top of the mountain. I mean, like 40 feet behind it. Well, guess what's right there in that huge wall of granite? There's a patch 6 or 7 feet tall and 3 or 4 feet wide of granite, quartz right in that granite wall, right behind where that giant X is.
Put a map in front of me, close my eyes, and point anywhere from where I live to where you live, and there's a bunch of October Bigfoot sightings. I mean, that's when Patty was filmed. I'm going to go poke around the Wasatch Mountains for Bigfoot and talk to Duke.
Well, that's actually a really good idea because this September, October, and in the southern, a little bit further south states into November, that's when they move around a lot. So you get a lot more random sightings because they're moving from one area to another. It doesn't necessarily help you find them again, but you get random sightings, and then you can figure out where it is and go, well, where were they coming from, where are they going to?
That amazing sighting that I was telling you about, that was a September Bigfoot sighting experience and everything. Oh, something else I wanted to tell you too is I zoomed in about 350% on the thing, and I ran it through 4 different light filters that I liked the best on there to help bring out more details of the face. And well, anyway, you can see the halo of hair that's sticking out like this the second layer of hair. You can see the light coming through it, making kind of a halo around it, so it really helps it stand out from the background. It's black, and that really absorbs light and helps melt into the shadows, because your mind and your eyes are looking, thinking that you're just seeing shadows when there's actually a dark black Bigfoot there. A lot of people don't think it's good camouflage, but a lot of predators and animals have black in them, dark brown, because it melts in so well.
Blaine Tyler taught me a trick for that, because most of the ones up there where he's at are black. And he said if there's any light on it at all, take a closer look at it, because if it's completely black, it's a shadow. If there's any light on it, their hair is glossy. You'll get a shine off.
A shimmer around the edges.
There'd be a little bit of a shine off their hair, you know, and I've caught some of them on camera before. Actually, Blaine found one of them in one of my videos and pointed out to me. And I said, how do you know that's not just a stump or anything? And he said, because you can see the light shining off the hair on its head.
It creates a different effect for sure. That's one of the reasons why I'm so into this guy's Bigfoot deal, is because running it through the filters, and before I even ran it through the filters, I could see kind of the halo around the edge of it with the light coming through, and then the vocalizations are just amazing. I had to ask him this the first time after I listened to him. You know, you're listening to him, there's frogs and crickets and the night sounds around him, almost Legend of Boggy Creek going on, which is really cool. Right. You know he's in a good environment. I could hear some creaking and really creepy sounding creaking, this and that, and I'm like, what is in the background? Is there like a screen door creaking in the breeze or some machinery? What's going on? And he's like, no, I'm outside of that old mill. That's kind of the wind and the breeze making everything in the mill creak. The corrugated roofing, the dilapidated siding and stuff.
Creaks the wind.
And so I'm wondering, with this mill being abandoned for such a long time, and then they come in for 2 weeks to clean it out, and it's locked off from the public. He shows a picture of the gate that he opens and closes each day. I'm wondering if those Bigfoots use that mill as shelter, and they're standing up on the hillside like, come on, man, you guys been here a week, get to my house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it would have been nice if he had known anything about it beforehand. He could have told, you know, if he walked in the door and there was a stank in there, yeah, they've been using it, you know. Mm-hmm. Other obvious signs is they'll actually make nests. They had somebody who was having a real problem with it. They're trying to drive him out of his house. And he had to go work on location frequently, so he'd be gone 2-3 days at a time. And when he'd come back, they would have broken into his house. They'd make a big nest in his living room. The whole place smelled like crap. There was mud all over the place. They'd wreck randomly. They really wanted him to move on. They did not like him. That poor bastard. They really put him. But that's really common, where you get these old abandoned houses, farms, ghost towns. You know, when the weather's really bad, if there's a standing building, they can just go in there. Keeps them out of the rain. Far away from where their cave is, or they just don't want to duck under a tree for the night. The weather's going to be really bad. They take over those places.
Another October deal. Helicopter logging crew that was being harassed by a Sasquatch in the Deadwood ghost town. When they first got there, a lot of the guys that were going to be staying, you know, not in trailers like tents, they went into the ghost town looking for places to set up cots, set up camp, and the boiler room of the abandoned logging boss's house, the boiler room had a big old stinky nest in it, and
when it was living in there, no wonder they were irritated.
Reminded them of a gorilla nest, except for on the floor of the boiler room. Well, they cleaned it out. That was actually the least dilapidated, best in shape ghost town house. So they cleaned it out and started staying in it, and then that's when all their problems started. That's when 5 guys in 24 hours had Bigfoot sightings, and 2 of the guys quit after their sightings. That was probably a Bigfoot having a nest in there.
I remember seeing that video. Isn't that the same building where you guys walked in on the ground floor and you were kind of filming randomly, and somebody pointed out to you that it looked like there was one outside the building and you caught him through the window?
We actually come in through the boiler room area and then up the stairs onto the first floor. Someone got a hold of me and said, hey, you caught a Bigfoot standing out there. And we've been to that location probably 5 times over the last 10 years. So we were able to come and look around, and we couldn't figure out. It was an illusion. There's nothing out there to create that illusion.
Now, video, and I know you're always cautious about saying that, well, that was a Bigfoot or anything. Well, that was a Bigfoot, Kelly.
Glassed over it real fast. I caught it on video, but my camera pan passed it so fast there's only a few frames of it. The screenshots, which look like images, was actually on film. The screenshots is the only thing that really does it justice.
Yep. Yeah, we get the same thing. I was just working on a clip like that for Inevitably Finding Bigfoot that Ashton filmed. And he was just driving up the pass, and he's got his camera out the window. Look at how lush and green and beautiful the scenery is. Well, he gets 3 Bigfoot on video while he's driving along with him. One of them, you can see his black head peeking up in between 2 trees looking at him. Another one's sitting on the ground in between 2 trees, so sort of below him. But as you go past, he gets about 7-8 frames of it. And as he's going past, you can clearly see it's like, okay, that's got a head and shoulders and sitting between the trees. It's just a black object. Everything behind it's lit up in green. Everything in front of it's lit up in green. Yeah, that's a big one. He caught was a brown shaggy one that was like the same color as dead pine needles. So the first time I went through it, I didn't really notice it. I just went, wait a minute, I've seen this part of the road before a bunch of times. There's no dead tree there. And I backed up and went by it frame by frame. And there's one standing next to these 2 trees. It's like trying to blend in as he's going past. And there's like 2 or 3 frames where you can see its face really clear. And then the rest of it's all just kind of like, what's blur? Why is that all blurry and blotchy? And yeah, why does it look like there's long reddish brown hair hanging off that tree? It's not a tree.
If you confuse them for a tree or whatever, they're doing their job.
That's it.
Their camera
That's what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not moving and I'm just a stump. Ignore me, I'm a stump.
So when was the last time that you guys went out?
We got to go out last month, and this month we haven't had any luck. We had one stretch or a couple of really nice days. Johnny was off work. Unfortunately, he was sick as a dog and couldn't do anything. And now we're pretty much done with any decent weather. We might be able to do some day trips, just walk around for the day or something. We're pretty much done. Supposed to be snowing tomorrow.
Our last 2 deals was the eclipse, and then before that we was in Colorado, in Bigfoot sighting area. It was a fun trip. Creepy area. It's one of the creepiest places I've stayed in a while. I freaking was having nightmares.
God.
And
Fortunately,
I don't have nightmares, so that's unusual for me.
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't get that anymore. In my main research areas where I'm really used to being there, I sleep really, really well. But the other people that are with me, not so much. Because I've been up there so much, they know me. They just leave me alone. They go mess with the new people now. I scare the hell out of them. They spent 2 hours crawling around Johnny's car the second night that we were up there. And again, you could hear them walking around. You could feel the car shaking when they got too close to it. They're big boys, you know. They had like 2 hours, and you could hear one
Did he
talking to each other.
Did he sleep in the back of a truck, or?
No, he slept in the driver's seat in his car. He didn't have a tent with him, so he just reclines the seat, pulls his sleeping bag up over him, and sleeps in there. And they didn't mess with me at all. I was in the tent down the hill by myself. They left me alone and went and screwed with him in the car. And the night before we were on the other campsite, that's where the one came hustling into camp and laid down his 2 big fat footfalls that were louder than any footsteps I've ever heard. That actually shook Johnny's car. Both steps shook his car.
Hey,
that freaked him out.
Johnny seems like a pretty cool dude. How long you been Bigfooting with him, man?
Since he moved in this spring and became my roommate, he was always interested in Bigfoot. His grandma saw one. And nobody else really in his family believes in him or anything, which is interesting. You know, this is native family. It's Salish Sioux combination. And he had actually seen the little people a few years ago. So he believed Bigfoot was probably real, because, hey, if the little people are real, Bigfoot's real, right?
Yeah.
But he had never seen one. So then I took him out, well, let's go see if we can find some tracks. And every damn time we went out, we found tracks, because I know where to go look for them. And now
you're in a good spot.
At finding tracks. Yeah, he's getting good at finding the tracks, too. So, shit, now, like 50% of the time when we're finding tracks and I'm filming them, probably about half the time he's the one that found them. You know, so it's really cool. Now it's like he's getting good enough at finding it that I have to go, yeah, that's a track, but we can't film it because it won't show on the camera. It's too indistinct. Like we only really honestly kept
90% of the tracks you find are like that. you can see them, you can track them, but they don't show up on camera. The 10%, so people get to see the handful in the trackway that actually show up good enough, that are worth filming. Worth
just talking about that in a chat room earlier today where they were talking about finding Bigfoot tracks and stuff, and I said, you know, out of the Bigfoot tracks that we show on my channel, we probably find 4 times as many as what we show. Because a lot of them, like you just said, you can see them with your naked eye, but trying to get them actually to show up on camera, really difficult. And then you get long trackways through grass or something where you can see they squash the grass down. But trying to, you know, get that on camera, really difficult.
Yeah, the grass protects the substrate.
Yeah, all you get is mashed down grass. So, like, you have to practically get down on the ground and have your camera at ground level to show the disturbance in the grass, just that something squished it down. And yeah, it happens to be like 18 inches long in human foot shape.
There's been a lot of times where we've sat and tracked stuff through grass and vegetation and stuff, and we're like, yeah, it looks like Bigfoot, but hey, you know, well, maybe it's bear, this, that. Let's follow them, see if they leave a better one, and then you get to where there's some molehills or a termite mound with real soft stuff.
They step on something soft.
They step in it, and then you feel justified, like, oh, I knew that was a Bigfoot track, or I knew that was a bear track, and now it's really showing itself. And people that sit on the couch and watch our videos and don't go out and experience that themselves, they don't realize that we might see 300 Bigfoot tracks, and 10 of them are like definitive. And these creatures, even I found that the big ones, the adults, are the best at hiding their trackways and not leaving them. A lot of times it'll be a naive juvenile, which, you know, when people see a juvenile track, they're like, oh, a man could have made that. Well, it's not man-shaped, and Bigfoot wasn't born 9 feet tall with 20-inch tracks, but it leads us to those. So we track them. Juveniles always end up going back to the adults, especially they get scared. They know you're following them.
Yeah. First time I brought Johnny up there, we walked to the end of this abandoned, you know, road. I think it's a fire access road, and it just kind of ends up on this hillside that's got like a little green glade of grass in it. And when we got up there, I went, look, there's 2 right here. 17-inch track right there. There's another one back there about 5 feet. And he's like, whoa. And then I turn around and I go, see where the grass is disturbed down there? That's where he went through down into the valley. We're going to go down that way. Then I turn around and go. So we went down there, basically following the direction of travel. There was a game trail there, so I started following the game trail, figuring he's either on the game trail or he's near an ambush or something if he's down here hunting. So I'd let out a little whistle every so often to let him know, hey, this is a Sasquatch whistle, so it's either a Sasquatch or somebody that knows that whistle. Don't mug me. And we got down there, and we didn't find any more 17-inch tracks, but we were shoving our way through this thicket. And you could see the game trail went through it, but it was so thick you couldn't see the trail until you shoved the brush out of the way. And when you shove the brush out of the way, what do you find? A perfect 15-inch track in the mud right in the middle of the game trail that you never would have seen if you had been following the game trail through the woods, went through the thicket that it went through, and shoved the brush out of the way. Then you see where the perfect track. Well, see, this is what I say. People are going like, "Well, you could have been hoaxed." Are you kidding me? No way, you know. And this just tells me there's more than one up there, because we found tracks from the 17-inch size one coming down that hillside, and then we found a track from another one that had a 15-inch foot. And again, as you pointed out, scale-wise up here, those are juvies. Those aren't adults. They're out tearing around having fun, catching something.
They're not even sub-adults, some of them.
In the middle of nowhere, they're not being that careful to hide their tracks to ever go out there.
I've noticed that the youngsters and the juveniles have thinner tracks. They'll get longer first. They'll hit the 14, 15-inch mark before they start getting wide. Yeah, they start getting wider. Yeah. That one spot that we found all those tracks when it was me, you, and Jenny up near Coloma, gosh, we just saw dozens and dozens of them going up those soft embankments down into that Golian wash, that really steep stuff. I mean, that was amazing. We saw a lot of tracks leading up to that were like, oh, these are cool. Some of them barely showed up on cameras, but man, those ones are like 4, 5, 6 inches deep in some places. It was.
Yeah, I know. So we went up to the end of that gully and walked down the basin of that gully to get down to where those tracks went down. You know how steep that was. We weren't going to try and clamber down that friggin' hill.
Yep.
And when we got down there, this is 2 weeks later, you could still see the tracks come down the hillside. We got down there, I filmed them. And that came down that hill, heel walking the whole time. It's all big heel indents where he was just stepping.
Putting all of his weight backward. You think about it, they would want to lean backwards to keep their balance coming downhill.
Yep, it all makes perfect sense. And it was also interesting because, you know, a human would try and turn their foot to the side.
That's how I do it.
Lay their feet down and slowly inch their way down the hill. And he just put his heels in and went blump, 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 right down the hill. And, you know, you could tell it wasn't like careful walking slow or anything. He just went right down the hill like normal speed. And then you couldn't see his tracks going up the other side because there was a nice hard game trail over there, but they were going directly toward it. He must have known there was a game trail over there, and he went cut down that embankment to get to it and go up that other side. And guess what's the top of that game trail on the other side, Kelly? That's where you park.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he might have come up there when we parked to check us out, and then we found his track going back the opposite way when we went down there.
That makes sense because those tracks were made in less than 24 hours, probably less than 12. And like you're saying, he probably just made them before we got there.
Yeah, well, he probably heard the car pull up and nobody ever parks there. We went to the top of that ridge that those other tracks went to. That's exactly at eye level with where your car was. We could see where we were parked on the far side. From there, he probably not only heard you, he saw you pull up. And what are humans parked over there for? And then he zooped down the gully and back up the other side to see what we were up to.
Yeah, it was a cool spot.
Yeah, probably between your vehicle and me and Johnny, it's very likely there were only 3 vehicles parked over there the entire summer, and we were in them.
Yeah, that is a pretty remote spot. How far was that from the gifting station?
Found those 19-inch tracks is directly in the middle between both of them. And the top of that ridge, when we got up there and checked it out a couple of weeks later, man, there was cow tracks up there. And there's like only one area they could get up there, and it's got all kinds of fallen trees and stuff across it. So why the cows would want to go up there, you know, and the top of this bridge is like maybe 300 feet long and 50, 60 feet wide, and steep drop-off on every side. Why would the cows want to be up there? There are tons of cow tracks, there's tons of cow patties, and guess what else there was? Lots of juvie tracks. We didn't find one adult track, but there was a ton of juvie tracks up there. The cows had stepped on and ruined most of them. But there's quite a few they missed. We're just walking around, we just get done filming one track, and Johnny'd be like, hey dude, there's another one over here 10 feet away, go over film that one. Different size individual. You know, we're kind of wondering if the loon ones drove the cows up there to play with them or something.
I've seen a lot of those Bigfoot sighting reports where people will be on a dirt road at night, driving past a herd of cows. A Bigfoot will stand up in the middle of the herd. So, obviously they befriend the cows or something.
You know, cows aren't very bright. If they walk in on 2 legs, they look like a human. Cows aren't scared of humans, okay? If they're on all 4s, they're about the right size to maybe blend in with the cattle. It's probably just an acclimation thing. If they're around them a lot, and they start realizing that they won't do anything to them, they just kind of ignore them. But again, the reaction could be completely different. Like when we had that whole herd in our camp there, and apparently that one Sasquatch decided he didn't like them being in our camp and made that big snap and chased them all the hell out of there. You know, we could make all the noise we wanted. They didn't give a damn. They were getting closer to us. But as soon as that thing in the woods behind us made a wood snap, they ran.
Some cows excited to see us because some of those ranchers will drive up. Yeah. They'll drive up there once or twice a week and give them a bale of hay for a treat. They hear our vehicle driving up and they'll rush our vehicle thinking that we're the person bringing them treats, and it's not so. So, yeah, they're not afraid of people. Some of them are excited to see people.
Yeah, I think they were just surprised to see us. You know, one of the reasons we camped up there is because there was a salt lick up there.
Yeah.
For the cows. We figured, well, maybe there's elk up there using it and stuff too, in which case, you know who's going to be paying attention to it. Let's check it out.
I've thrown game cameras on salt licks before, just for the fact that I've heard people say they've seen Sasquatch licking those. When I'm up in a place like that and find one, I'll throw a game camera on it. And game, love them. I mean, even the squirrels and birds come and take advantage of it. I think every animal likes salt. Does. Why not Bigfoot?
Yeah, if you talk to some of the ranchers down south, and Bear and the Bigfoot Outlaws covered this pretty extensively, that they're not only convinced that the boogers will blink on the salt blocks and stuff. They steal them. Salt blocks disappear. What animal picks up a salt blick and walks off with it? A big salt block.
An animal with hands that wants to take it back to its shelter.
Really limited options for what could be stealing salt blocks and walking.
It's like, why the hell should I have to keep coming out here when I could just take it with me?
Game cam out here or something. I'll just wait there. So take it back to the cave. White kids can use it. Well, anyway, as far as the if this guy got a bunch of good audio stuff, you might want to pass that along to Bigfoot Anthropologist, because he's the man. Either him or Tinker Dunker. They can both do sonic fingerprints.
Tinker Dunk reviews all my stuff. Me and him's got a deal where we share each other's stuff. If he thinks it's worthy, he'll get a hold of me and it's alright if I do that. It's like, oh yeah. He did one of my audio, another Virginia one that was on the north side of Virginia that he broke down last year and did a video footprint that people sent me that he really liked. He's done a few of them.
Not as big of a channel or anything, but I recommend Bigfoot Anthropologist, because that's all he does is audio breakdowns.
He's an audio expert?
He is an actual anthropologist, too. So, yeah, bonus points. He's a retired anthropologist who's like, I know Bigfoot's real, I'm going to do stuff on this. And mainly all he does is just audio breakdown stuff. But he's taken, let's see, Show Me Sasquatch, Mark Kindergarten put out a video quite a few years ago where it was about the same time he was out doing Bigfoot research with Kevin Lang with the Glag Saga down in Missouri. And he was out just by himself that day walking around filming. Then he showed the video of Bigfoot Anthropologist. Bigfoot Anthropologist, of course, went to work on the audio thing and started pulling all of these clicking, popping sounds that they always make in the background. If you eliminate all the normal sounds, if there's Bigfoot around there, you can always hear these little clicking and popping sounds that they're making. So that's one of his ways. That's a definite tell there. And then the other thing that was interesting is when he started looking at the video closely, he went, Mark, you've got 3 of them on video here. And he's like, what?
3 voice signatures?
Well, yeah, when you were filming, you brought the camera up on the treetops above you, and then you panned to the right across the ridge line above you. There was 2 juvenile Sasquatch in the tree above you climbing around in the branches. And as you're panning across the ridge line, there's an adult running across the top of it. And like, no, they're obvious too, but Mark is so hyper and he doesn't stand still for 5 seconds that he didn't even realize he filmed them. Then he just kept walking. That's a great video that he's got up on his channel.
That's why I wanted to stop and spend an hour and have lunch at your gifting station up in Coloma, because the year before at your guys' other gifting station and your other hot spot, that's where you guys filmed that Bigfoot dog chew toy that you left for it.
Oh yeah,
it's hanging around.
That's where that wasn't really a gifting spot. That's just their big teepee. And anytime we stop up there and find tracks and stuff, we would just stick a couple honey buns on a tree branch or something.
One-time thing.
Whenever we'd stop up there like a couple times this summer to see if they'd changed anything or what was going on. Usually we'd always find tracks around it, so that was dangerous. And then we just felt like, well, we're intruding on your territory, so we're sorry. Here's some treats. Have a great day.
Weren't you telling me that blue dog toy that you left before it, that it got filmed next by without you guys even knowing it was there? That was such a cool video, by the way. Didn't it move that toy?
Oh, they moved that toy around a couple times. We left it on a tree branch one time. The next time we showed up, it was laying on the ground. We found it again. So yeah, they never took it away. As a matter of fact, I think Mike got it back actually the last time we were there, and it was still there.
Might be some Sasquatch
dribble on that. Sasquatch spit on it. Yeah, exactly. Little one's probably chewing on it or something. I left them all those stuffed toys up there a year ago, and then when we were up there in September, I went to the main gifting area and checked it out again, which tells you how little we were up there this summer. It was over a year before I got back there. And they had left the trash from everything that I left them the year before. All the trash is there, so I picked up all the trash. And I had 2 stuffed raccoons. One of them had obviously been left on the ground. It was all torn up, and local mice had been getting at the stuffing inside of it, doing things with it. The other one was in perfect condition. It was like, okay. And then I left them 7 stuffed toys, and there's only 4 of them still there. So 3 disappeared somewhere. They're just not there. The other ones are just kind of laying there pretty much where I left them. The wind might have moved them around a little bit or whatever during the winter, So No.
I love how that Bigfoot near the toy frickin' did the loud knock, and then he looks through the window of vegetation.
You guys looking?
Yeah, well, he peeks through that window to, see if you guys respond to the knock. Without him knowing it, he full-on captures its entire face staring at the camera. I love it.
I first saw the video on World Bigfoot TV about a year ago. The video title is A Closer Look, Real Sasquatch Caught on Video Ducks for Cover. Duke from World Bigfoot TV reached out to me and asked if I would enlarge and zoom the section where the Bigfoot was captured to use for his presentation at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. This part of the clip, there are at least 3 different subjects or creatures in the cover watching Duke, Eric, and their expedition group. I won't point them all out to you. You can see if you can identify them yourself. What I want to show you is the money shot. What appears to be the largest of the 3 looks directly at Eric through an opening in the thick brush after doing a wood knock. You should watch the full video. I will link it in the description. The expedition group is investigating a large suspect Bigfoot structure complex. As the group walks off, this large Bigfoot wood knocks, then looks directly at Eric. You see a lot of movement, but right after it knocks, it looks right through a window of clearing, and briefly you get to see most of its domed head, eyes, massive brown ridge, and nose. What an amazing capture on video of a giant Montana Bigfoot. This Bigfoot appears to be grayish black in color, just like the one my son and I saw in Bear Wallow of the Uinta Mountains after tracking it for several hours. We saw it briefly while it was running through a small gap in the trees. It was the same color as this one. This is an amazing capture by Duke's group of a Bigfoot on camera. Hope you enjoyed. Keep on watching. We're gonna keep on squatching.
Well, the thing was, you asked about the wood knock and stuff. Didn't we hear that noise? We were to his right, about 60, 70 feet, with our backs to him, wading through heavy brush, making a racket ourselves, with tons of fallen trees and heavy brush. We're making a racket. Eric was the one that was filming him. He was behind us.
So quiet.
Any noise was being made, we assumed he was making it. Because we figured he was bringing up the river.
So in your minds, you guys are blaming that wood knock on him coming up.
Yeah, whatever noise we heard, that was right over by where he was, so we just figured it was him making the noise. We didn't even bother to turn around and look.
I've been in those situations where you think it's your
and that was
your
so,
partner,
I mean,
and it's not.
We're only 70 feet away. Yeah, we're 60, 70 feet away from him. We're not going to, oh, there was a noise over there. It might be Bigfoot. We're 60 or 70 feet away from him. That's where he is. We didn't know it was a Bigfoot doing a wood knock. If he hadn't filmed it, we never would have known.
He didn't know it either.
No, he didn't know it.
He did pan in the direction of it, but he didn't think much of it because he didn't keep the camera over there very long. That's probably the best footage shot from last year. That's in my top, because the money shot clearly got its face and head.
If it hadn't been for you doing that nice zoom in on it, we wouldn't be able to show much of anything to people because it was too far back. And at the time, he had already zoomed in on that spot and was zooming out when it made the wood knock and looked to see if he was watching stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did actually have it in the frame when it knocked. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
See, he didn't know there was anything over there. He was just doing a pan to the right. Here's what the woods looks like, and then he zoomed back out again. And he just happened to stop in exactly the right spot. If you look at that video closely, before he stops at that spot, there's 2 more of them in there. One of them ducks behind a tree, and the other one you can just see the top of his head as he goes across.
I did see the other one. I didn't make that big of a deal, even though I saw it, and I know there's another one in there. It stays in the cover, so there wasn't enough there for me to do anything with, so I didn't make a big deal out of them. Just like people watch that video and they see it cool because it's there.
Well, think about this situation now, where we're at. Eric's on one end, we're on the other end, and all three of these Bigfoot are in between us. That's really brazen.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredibly brazen. Like, you can tell they're not scared of us at all if they'll get that damn close. They're like, hey, I'll make a wood knock. Make sure that they know we're here. Us? I don't think so.
Places with a lot of activity. I like to hike in a lot, and I don't want to act like a hunter. I don't want to act like I'm sneaking up on something. I want to do exactly what you've done there. They get used to you, realize you're not a threat, and then they start coming in close because of their curiosity,
because they're
checking
curious,
out.
exactly.
Because
they know you're not dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You've got good intentions. They're starting to like you. Now they're going to follow you around and see what you're up to all the time.
You leave us some toys and some treats once in a while.
Yeah. Learn not to touch the structure, so that's not pissing us off anymore. Good job.
A lot of people in our videos, want us to belly crawl silently into these places and stuff. You're never going to do it anyway, and I'm not a belly crawler. So I'm going to walk in and I'm going to act like a naive hiker that is not a threat to anyone. Then I'm going to depend on their curiosity to come in and do exactly what you guys did in that video. It's curiosity and it's trust for you guys. Got it in close enough that you guys got that great video.
We're in there in that place, and what I was in there for is that was where I shot that one that Blaine Tyler found in my video. So I'm trying to find that exact same spot and line up that shot so I can see if that object is still there or not. And I'm walking back and forth and looking at this area. Let's see, that tree right there, no, it has to be over on this side. And it's all just massively thick woods with fallen timber everywhere, so it was a friggin' nightmare. And finally Eric just got tired of it too, and he went back to the vehicle. So I'm out there by myself now, everybody else is left. And I'm just frustrated, I'm trying to get that shot, and I hear the brush crack about 30 feet behind me. Right away, I know it ain't nobody on my team. There's probably a Sasquatch about 30 feet right behind me. Why is he making that noise? And it occurred to me instantly, there's one in front of me somewhere. He's trying to get me to turn around so the one in front of me can shift position. And lane that I was trying to find to shoot the comparison video, finally couldn't find it, just gave up, walked out of there, never turned around, never looked. But I knew exactly what they were up to, so it's like, as soon as I turn around, he's going to hide anyway. So I'll never catch him on camera, even if I got it going, which I do. So I came walking out. As I came walking out, Eric was up on the road, and he goes, "Oh, there you are. I thought you were right behind me." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, it sounded like somebody was walking behind me on the way out."
Well, there was. It just wasn't you.
It wasn't me. And so again, there was one right in between me and him. I'm still out in the woods. There's one behind me trying to distract me, and there's another one following him out. And then we get up on the road, and we got this on video where we're walking along, and they're out in the woods whistling to us. So I start yelling hi to him in various languages and whistling back, and he's got it all on video. You can hear it. There's 2 or 3 of them out there whistling to us like, "Come back, visit us more."
You guys got a great couple of areas up there, man. It's a lot of work to get into an area like that, one. And then number 2 is to get the residents used to you, where they'll vocalize close to you, come in close enough for a sighting. I don't know. I just loved the tracks the last time I was up there in Coloma.
Yeah, that was great. I'll tell you what, next time you get a chance to come up here, I'll take you to the main research area, and we'll see what we can find up there.
Right on.
We almost always find a bunch of tracks up there, but that's where the giant structures are. That's what I like to go find. And when we were up there in September, we went to one of the furthest out there areas that we've ever been to, because Johnny's pretty mobile. And that was sort of the plan for that day, is no, we're just going to go way the hell back to this one field.
I saw your video of those giant structures in the same one that you caught the creature, or caught the Bigfoot.
Yeah, that teepee's down now. They took it down or something, because we went back and looked for it, and it ain't there no more, and we were definitely in the right spot. So apparently they decided that was getting too much attention, so they took it down. The reason we were going there is because I like to Google Earth things. And I've noticed on some of those hilltops out there, or mountaintops, where we do research, you look at Google Earth images and it looks like there's structures there. So we marked them. This is about 4 years ago. And we went back to those spots that we had marked. And guess what? They were huge structures. You could see them from space. So we found another one that's on top of this mountain that's even way further back. And that's why we were back there walking around trying to find it. And again, we didn't find it. But yeah, wait until you see the video of that. This terrain is so freaking brutal. Everybody that's watching it will be going like, no way. You wouldn't get me out there climbing up and down. If something chases you, you literally can't run away. You're mountaineering to get out of there.
I hope you guys enjoyed this Dirt Road Roundtable Drive. Make sure to like, comment, and share. Please subscribe and hit that bell so that you can get the 2 or more new video notifications each week with Bigfoot sightings, Sasquatch captured on camera, vocalizations, and investigations into Bigfoot sighting hotspots. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.